Good morning, everyone. My name is Lindsay, and I'm an educator for the St. Louis Zoo. I'm really excited to be sharing this experience with you guys today. Our program title is Animal Behavior Observations. Before we get started, let's review some features of our webinar together. We're going to find our chat box. It seems like some of you have located it already. There will be a button for it located at the top or at the bottom of your screen. When you click on that, it'll open up the chat box for you. Please type in there where you're from and how many people are viewing with you today. Also, once you have done that, in that same bar at the top or the bottom of your screen, there will be a Q&A box for question and answer. And you can submit questions that you might have for me. And at the end of our webinar today, I'll do my best to answer some of those. We do have a tech person behind the scenes. His name is Connor, and he's helping us out, and he'll be monitoring the chat today. On that note, I'd like to make sure to point out that we want to be courteous to everyone when we're in the chat. At the end of our webinar, we will offer an enjoyment poll, so you can let us know how much you enjoyed today, and we thank you for your feedback on that. All right, so some community learning standards. While you guys are interacting in the chat, I want to make sure that you remember, I will be friendly and respectful of others. I will use the Q&A or the question and answer box for relevant and appropriate questions. I will use the chat box to respond and interact in regards to the webinar topic. So please make sure that you are following those learning standards. If things get disruptive, my friend Connor behind the scenes will set the chat to all panelists. So at that time, you will be sending messages to myself and to Connor, but no one else will see what you're typing. Right now, if you want to make sure everyone can see your answers and responses, you'll want to click the selection that says all panelists and attendees, and that'll make sure everyone can see what you're typing. Also, please understand that if the moderator of the webinar has asked you to change your behavior in the chat, you may be removed from the webinar. All right, guys. So something I want to make sure we do before we begin is I want you to grab a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a big one like this. And a writing utensil, so a pen, pencil, marker, whatever you have around. So now that we have our supplies, I promise it'll be fun and easy. All right, so animal behavior observations. Maybe we should talk about some common animal behaviors first. So there's a photograph of an animal. You can type in the chat if you know what animal that is. So some common animal behaviors. The animal in our photo here is an Okapi, if anyone guessed that. And they are using their long tongue to forage for food. So some common animal behaviors are foraging or hunting, grooming, defense or offense, socializing, reproduction, eliminating waste, caregiving, migration or hibernation, and communication. Now we want to make sure that we recognize that behaviors are adaptations that animals have. So as a refresher, if you don't remember what an adaptation is, it's anything that an animal has or does to help it survive in its habitat or its home. So a physical adaptation might be spots or the claws on the feet in this picture. But a behavioral adaptation, like the ones we're talking about today, will be running super fast, like the cheetah in this picture. I also want to point out that behaviors can be innate or learned. So on these pictures, the first one you'll see is a bonnethead shark. We have these sharks at the St. Louis Zoo at Caribbean Cove during the summers. And these guys, they are born with innate behaviors. They instinctually, is how you can think of it, know what to do to survive and to live in their habitat. Now in the other picture are our orangutans, Mira and her daughter, Ginger. I love that picture. It's from a while ago. Ginger is much bigger now and older. But these animals will stay with their mothers for 8 to 10 years, learning behaviors to help them survive in their home, how to communicate with other orangutans, how to stay safe, how to find food, many of those things. All right, ethology, if you've ever heard that word before. If you haven't, it means the study of animal behavior. So the ology at the end, biology, bio is life, it's the study of life. So ethology is the study of animal behavior. But why is it important? Why do some people make their whole career out of studying the behavior of animals? Why would that be important to know? I'd like you guys to type in the chat what you think about that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute so that I can hopefully see the chat. Let's see here, because I want to see what you guys are saying. So animal behavior is important because it gives us knowledge about animals. So the more we know about them, the better we can care for them. So it helps us gain knowledge. We can care for them, which is husbandry, in zoos, but also in the wild. So wildlife conservation. The animals in our zoo, if we study their behavior, it helps us learn things about their wild family, and it helps us figure out what efforts we need to do to help conserve them. But guess what? Behavior studies out in the wild can help us also care for the animals that are with us in a zoo or in our homes or in rehab centers. So they can help each other out, and we can help animals all around. Nice job. All right, so I have a poll for everyone. This is a photo of an animal. I will give you more information about it after we've taken our poll. But Connor's going to share a poll with us. It has a question. It's going to say, what is this animal doing? There we go. All right, so what is the bird in this picture doing? Is it sleeping? It's sick. Dust bathing? Or it's scared? Those are your choices. We'll see what we think. I'm watching everyone's answers coming in. This is exciting. Ooh, someone wrote in the chat, hiding. All right, we're going to give you a few more seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Connor, let's end that poll. Thank you. So it seems like most everyone chose dust bathing, but almost the same amount of friends said it is scared. Good job, guys. So what we're doing is looking at this image and making inferences or good estimated guesses of what we think this animal is doing. But it's kind of hard to tell just by looking at a picture, right? This animal is actually taking a dust bath. It is a red-legged Seriema. They are terrestrial birds. They like to run around on the ground. They don't fly super well. And they love to take dust baths. It's a care or maintenance behavior that they do to keep their feathers in tip-top shape, keep them from getting too oily. Would you necessarily have known that just by looking at the picture? Not necessarily. So it's always important with animal behavior that you get a full view of what's going on in the situation that you're observing. Sometimes just looking at one image won't tell you all of that or give you that information. All right, another poll that we have. Here's another image of an animal. Connor's going to bring up another poll for you. What is the chimpanzee in this picture doing? Your choices are, they are smiling. They're showing that they're afraid, laughing, or getting ready to eat. Give you a few moments to think and make a decision. Seems like a lot of friends are entering their answers. All right, we'll give you a few more seconds. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And Connor, let's close out that poll. All right, so most friends said that our chimpanzee is smiling. And I'm clicking around figuring out our technology here. This animal, the expression that she is making with her face, for us, that would be a smile, yes? But for this chimpanzee, for this animal, that expression is called a fear grimace. Now, a fear grimace is when our chimpanzee in this picture is displaying fear to the rest of her family members. So she's communicating that she's feeling a little uncomfortable. And we know communication is super important. But when we take a human characteristic or attribute, so a smile, and assume that it means the same thing for another animal, like the chimpanzee in this picture, that's called anthropomorphizing. If you've heard that word before, anthropomorphism. So when we give human characteristics to animals. Now, we can't do that in science. Because if we're staying objective, we don't know that that animal is smiling, because a smile for us means we're happy. But a smile for this chimpanzee means it's fearful, and they're communicating that with their family group. So we want to make sure when you're doing animal behavior and other science that we avoid anthropomorphizing them. That way we can stay objective and take good data. Ethograms. This is where it gets fun, everyone. Ethograms are where we record animal behaviors over a duration of time. So we are going to make one ourselves. Ethograms are how animal behaviorists record the data that they are discovering. So we're going to make one together. This is where your paper and your writing utensil come in handy. So grab your piece of paper and your writing utensil. And I'm going to make 4 sections. They don't have to be perfectly straight. It doesn't have to be this large either. This is a simple ethogram and we're doing it for fun. So at the top, I wrote groom. So an animal grooming itself. For the second column, I wrote down eat. So an animal eating. In my third column, I wrote sleep. So if my animal is sleeping. And in my last column, I wrote other. So that could be any other behavior that isn't grooming, eating, or sleeping. It could even be if the animal walks out of your view and you can no longer see them. Now, usually when you're creating an ethogram, it would be a good idea to write down definitions of these behaviors, because sometimes when you're watching animals, something comes up that you weren't expecting. And that way you can look at your definition and say, does it really meet that criteria? Is that really what I wanted to record? All right, I'm going to give everyone a few more moments to make their simple ethogram. We are going to view our live webcam of the St. Louis Zoo penguins inside of Penguin and Puffin Coast. This is live right now at the St. Louis Zoo. These penguins are gentoos, are the kind of medium-heighted ones. The tallest, largest ones are king penguins. And if you see any penguins in there that kind of look like they have little tufts on their ears, a lot of times I don't see them in this view, but I think there might be one over in the back left corner maybe. They have little tufts. Those guys are southern rockhopper penguins. Now, when we're viewing these penguins, you'll want to start picking one out that you want to follow. That's going to be a focal behavioral study when you choose one animal to look at. And we are going to observe them for 1 minute together. I have a stopwatch here, and I'm going to record for 1 minute. Now, every 10 seconds, I will say record. And when I say record, you're going to put a tally mark on your paper. If your focal animal is grooming, you will put a tally mark right there. If you see your animal eating or sleeping, you will put a tally mark there. Remember, every time I say record, I will say record every 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and record. And record again. Record. Record. record, record, and one more, and record for the final time. All right, so we set an interval of 10 seconds over the period of 1 minute. When you record an ethogram, you can choose the intervals that you use. You want to stay consistent though. I'm enjoying watching these penguins too. So in the chat, you guys let me know, what was the behavior that you observed the most? Which one got the most tallies on your ethogram? And was it different than you expected? Oh, we've got a few others coming in. Oh, many of you are saying other. So can someone say what some of those others were? You know, did they move out of our view? Different than expected? So did anyone expect the penguins to go and eat the fish that are in that bin? I'm pretty sure that's a bin of food there, that gray bucket. I think that's a bin of fish. So you could start making maybe some scientific educated guesses about, you know, why they aren't eating the food or why they're doing what they're doing. And that's what's fun about science, is it doesn't always happen the way that we expect it to. But that's what's fun. And it gives us useful information. Very cool. I'm going to leave the live webcam up because this is fun. So with ethograms at home, you guys can, wandering around, grooming, flapping wings. Yeah, head tucked into their shoulder. So some of those behaviors are care and maintenance. Yeah, grooming, they're taking care of their bodies. Or is any of them sleeping? Yeah, I see some animals that are sleeping, standing with their wings out. Yeah, and you could maybe do some research about why they're doing that. So what would that tell you if they are sleeping a lot? Or if they are swimming a lot? If they're sleeping a lot, maybe it meant that they were active at a different time and it's their time to rest right now. Maybe if they're standing with their wings out, it might tell you that they're feeling a little warm and they want to make sure that they're staying nice and cool. Does that help you care for them then? It might give you some information about them in the wild too. Nice job, everyone. So when you make an ethogram yourself at home, you want to think about time of day. Maybe you can take an ethogram in the morning and then do it again at night and compare how those behaviors are different. You could also change your location. Does the animal act differently in different areas, in different places? And maybe you can define your behavior. So write down what exactly that behavior means. A lot of animal behaviorists will even draw pictures of what it looks like when that animal is doing that behavior. I've seen pictures of red-legged seriamas doing their dust bathing, so that that behaviorist can then tell another scientist, this is exactly what this behavior looks like. This is what you're looking for. I think that's pretty awesome. Also, you want to try to have behaviors that are mutually exclusive. Really, all that means is that you can't do those two behaviors at the same time. So if you have sleeping and then eating, you can't be eating at the same time as sleeping. At least I can't. Most animals you can't. Man, could you imagine that if you could sleep and eat at the same time? Those are some. Oh, we have a keeper on our cam. That's awesome. I wonder, so I'm making an estimated guess here. I wonder if the reason these penguins weren't eating out of that bucket, I think that maybe they knew that the keeper was coming soon and that they'd get an extra special treat. So they didn't want to fill up on maybe the fish that's in the bucket. I think that's always possible. So I had a lot of fun doing this with you. Make sure to maybe do some ethograms on your pets at home. Some wildlife. You can pull up the webcams at St. Louis Zoo on our website at STLZOO.org. That's always fun. All right, I'm going to stop our sharing and check out some questions and see if I can answer any of those. All right, so you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you learned a lot, and we'll see you next time. We have live webinars every day at 10 a.m. Thank you.